From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Good morning, Board reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Gleason.
Here.
Supervisor Scrivener.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
We'll start this morning meeting with a salute to the flag led by Mr. Devin Brown, our Employee Relations Officer, followed by a moment of prayer, silence, and meditation.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll start this morning's meeting with a consideration of the consent agenda. The agendas are in the back of the room. Please help yourself and follow along with the board. Consent agenda, all items listed with a CA or C above the item are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion if no member of the board or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anybody, the item will be removed from this consent agenda, will be considered in the listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address this board concerning the item before action is taken. So, going through the agenda, starting on page 2, we have items 4, 5 under appointments. Under departmental requests, aging adult services, we have items 8 through 11, agriculture and measurement standards, 12, audit controller, 13, 14, clerk of the board, 15, fire department, 16 and 17, Kern medical, 18 through 23, mental health services, 24 through 41, probation department, items 42, public health services, items 44 through 49, public health services, emergency medical services division, nothing. Sheriff's Department 52 through 54, Veteran Services Department 55, and that about wraps it up. Does any member of the public wish to pull any of these items off the consent agenda?
Chairman Gleason, I'm not a member of the public, but I would like to pull item number 52 off the consent agenda.
Okay, item 52, consider that done. Anyone else in the public? I'll bring it back to the board for a vote.
Mr. Chairman, I need to declare a conflict. I'd like to abstain from item number 36 this morning because of a potential source of income to myself.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggard. Your vote will be abstained from item 36. Any other member of the board? I'm looking for a vote.
So moved.
Second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Outstanding moves us to resolutions, proclamations. You'll kick us off with number 1 by Supervisor Perez to proclaim May 2016 as Teen Pregnancy Prevention Awareness Month in Kern County.
Motion on proclamation.
Second. Cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Good morning, Chairman Gleason and members of the board. Today I'm presenting this critically important proclamation to increase awareness of teen pregnancy prevention. While much progress has been made over the past 2 decades, the United States has still the highest teen pregnancy rate among comparable countries, with nearly 3 in 10 teenagers becoming pregnant. We know that teen pregnancy is closely linked to a number of critical social issues, such as poverty, educational attainment, and involvement in the criminal justice and child welfare systems. A child is more likely to grow up in poverty if he or she is born to teen parents who have not yet completed high school. Teen mothers often do not complete high school, and less than 2% have a college degree by age 30. We must raise awareness about this important critical issue, promoting parent-child communication and continuing in the supportive programs that have been proven to reduce teen pregnancy. Today, I join my colleagues in proclaiming May 2016 as Teen Pregnancy Prevention Awareness Month and thank all of our community partners who continue to keep this issue a priority in Kern County, including Sierra Vista, Clinica Sierra Vista, Community Action Partnership of Kern, and our Kern County Department of Health. Of course, we have our Department of Health Director, Matt Constantine, with us this morning, Barbara Gladden of Clinica Sierra Vista, and of course, Angie Nelson of CAPK. I want to thank you all for bringing this sensitive yet critically important issue to the constant awareness of this community, this board, and to the young people who we can hope to keep them from such a serious adult-like behavior and activity in life that should be reserved for preparation and later in life. So thank you. And the Board of Supervisors in the County of Kern, State of California, has officially proclaimed May 2016 as Teen Pregnancy Prevention Awareness Month in Kern County. And this recognition has been entered into the official board minutes, signed by our Honorable Chairman, Mick Gleason. So thank you for all you do. Please, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Chairman Gleason and members of the board. My name is Barbara Gladden. I'm with Clinica Sierra Vista. With me today, as Leticia mentioned, is Angie Nelson, but also Gabriela Borja. I'm sorry, oh, that's my Gabby. This is Gabby Soto from Community Action Partnership of Kern. Thank you for the proclamation. I know it's just a piece of paper, but it is a moment in time when we can stop and recognize the work that we're doing in the county. I know that you've heard of our rates. We know that we usually end up at the top of the rating system when they're rating the counties, but there's a lot of good work that's being done. We have seen a dramatic reduction in our rates in Kern County. If you look at our rates 20 years ago, we had over 100 teens per every 1,000 that ended up a teen mom. 10 years ago, 2006, the rates came down to 68.9 per 1,000. And today, if you look at our most current statistics, we're at 44 per 1,000. So you can see there's a dramatic decrease in the rates. Every day, we're working in prevention, in the community, in school settings. We're also doing intervention with work with those pregnant and parenting teens, making sure that they have healthy babies, making sure that they don't have a secondary baby, finishing their high school education, and giving them a path to success. So we want to thank you for this. We're part of the Kern County Teen Pregnancy Prevention Coalition, so on behalf of that coalition, I just again want to thank you for this proclamation and this recognition for the work that we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to number 2. Supervisor Maggott will proclaim May 24th through the 30th, 2016 as Veterans Memorial Week in Kern County.
Motion to approve proclamation.
Second.
Cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Good, sir. Good morning, sir.
Never miss an opportunity to thank a veteran for their service. I am very pleased this morning to stand before us to help proclaim May 24 through 30, 2016 as Veterans Memorial Week in Kern County. 3 years after the end of the Civil War in 1868, the head of the Organization of Union Veterans, that's from the Union side, of the Grand Army of the Republic, established Decoration Day as a time for the nation to decorate the graves of those killed in action during the Civil War. Major General John Logan declared Decoration Day to be May 30th. It just harkens back to a simpler day. They chose May 30th because it was the time in the country they thought all the flowers would be blooming, and they could put flowers on the graves of those who had died in service to our country. By the end of the 19th century, Decoration Day ceremonies were being held on May 30th throughout the nation. It was not until after World War I that the day was expended to honor all of those who have died in American wars. And with a multitude of events that happen around Memorial Day, we thought that it would be appropriate to have an entire week to honor and proclaim that it is Veterans Memorial Week here in Kern County. Veterans Memorial Week is dedicated to all of those who have died in service to our country, protecting our way of life, our freedom, and our nation. And I want to just talk to you for a second about how significant the cost of freedom is. These numbers are just from Kern County. There have been 1,019 military veterans who have died in action since the First World War. Remember, Kern County was a much, much smaller place during those days. 78 residents of Kern County died in World War I. This is devastating, the number. 686 veterans died in World War II. I would wager a guess that maybe 40,000 people lived in the county after the Second World War, and 686 of them died there. In Korea, 68. In Vietnam, 160. In Afghanistan, 7. The post 9/11 era, 7 have died in Afghanistan. The very first of those is Special Forces Sergeant Cody Prosser from Fraser Park, who died in Afghanistan right after we went into Afghanistan to scurry the Taliban out of there. And in Iraq, 20 more have died. Those last two wars from Afghanistan and Iraq certainly leave an indelible mark on families that are still grieving for their loved ones. So I am joined by our Veteran Services Officer, Dick Taylor. Could you come up, Dick? I'd like to, you represent all of the veterans, and behind me are many veterans who are here from Kern County. We are grateful for your service and the sacrifice you've made on all of us. But certainly during this week, we want to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice. So, Dick, this is a proclamation from the Board of Supervisors, the County of Kern, and the State of California. We have officially proclaimed May 24 through 30, 2016 as Veterans Memorial Week in Kern County, evidenced by the signature of our Chairman, the Honorable Mick Gleason. This is the 24th day of May 2016. Could you tell us a little bit more about what's going on? And thank you for your leadership as well and your service to our country.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggard and Mr. Chairman and members of the board. And I'm joined, before I tell you about some of the great events going on this weekend, I'm joined behind me, as Supervisor Maggard mentioned, and these aren't in any specific order, but some phenomenal veterans that we are blessed to have in our community that have served this nation honorably. These aren't in any particular lineup order, but I want to name them by name. Casey Schabschlager, who I'm going to have come up and just say a few words when I'm done speaking here. Larry Dano, Louis Duran, Victor Alcacer, Michael Farrell, Tricia Schmidt, Jessica Brown, and Josh Danens. And also have Wendy Porter and Erica Schabschlager here that are here from the Wounded Heroes Fund as well. So this weekend, specifically Saturday, up at the Bakersfield National Cemetery, we're blessed to have one that is designated as a national shrine, a national cemetery designated as a national shrine because of its excellence and the record keeping and the way they keep the grounds and this phenomenal land that it sits on that was donated by Tejon Ranch. At 9 a.m. this Saturday, May 28th, there's our annual Memorial Day weekend ceremony. Public is invited. At 1:30 that afternoon, 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, May 28th, down at the Kern Veterans Memorial right here at Truxton and S Streets, we have our annual Remembering Kern's Fallen Heroes at the Wall of Valor. Those 1,019 names that are on that wall from World War I to current are all listed on there, and we have a phenomenal event scheduled, including the Highland High School pipe and drum band, who will be playing some musical selections, and we also have readings of the 2 Medal of Honor recipients during the Vietnam War of Larry Pierce and Leonard Alvarado. So with that, again, I want to thank your board for this proclamation, and I'd ask Casey to come up and just say a few words.
Thank you, Dick. On behalf of veterans, past and present, alive and deceased, we're very proud and honored to accept this proclamation from the county and from the board. It's a tough week for many of us, but it just proves that the people behind me, we're very grateful for the job that we do for our current veterans here in Kern County, and that we take this time to remember the past. And this just proves it from the county. Thank you very much.
Thank you. How many of you vets are Navy? Yeah. All right.
How many are Marine Corps?
Who cares? We put up with you. Thank you very much, everybody. Good job, Supervisor Maggard. Next up, public requests. We have a request from Mr. Stephen Schilling, Chief Executive Officer, Clinica Sierra Vista, to address the board and provide an update on family medicine residents from the Rio Bravo Family Medicine Residency Program and present the budget reconciliation for the academic year 2014-2015. Mr. Schilling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Steve Schilling. I'm the CEO at Clinica Sierra Vista. And I'm here to bring you some good news. Back when the Board of Supervisors made the determination to move and relocate the former Kern Medical Family Medicine Residency Program over to Clinica, the board was very generous in their continuing support of that program by providing a 7 or 8 year long community benefit grant to Clinica should the need ever arise that the federal funding was in jeopardy or that was not delivered at the expected amounts. And so your board and county have been very diligent in providing a support amount to us every month. And this is the reconciliation, a little bit late. For the 2014-15 year, we'll have a reconciliation hopefully later in the fall for the 15-16 year. It was a little confusing there to kind of understand how the federal funds worked in that first year, but they did. And your county during that particular academic year advanced $304,499. We only needed $9,797. So I have here a check today made out to the County of Kern refunding the amount of money we did not need for the program in the amount of $294,702. And I will give that to your... I just want to thank you. We are operating the program well. Our third class will join us on July 1st. We will have a full complement of family medicine residents on deck at Rio Bravo at that point, a number of them, and I brought them to you a few months ago, and I'll bring the new class again. Again, a whole lot of those young people are Kern County natives or residents here of the Central Valley, and we expect they will be staying around when they finish their training. So again, I want to thank you. You've been very supportive and you're a great safety net for us in this very important program. I know your board was concerned about maintaining a presence of graduate family medicine education in the county when they made this transfer. So you generously provided us that community benefit grant. We're going to take care of it correctly, and if there's money to be returned, and I'm guessing there will be again next year, we'll bring it back to you at that time and refund it to you. So thank you very much, and I want to appreciate on behalf of Clinica and the residents your continued support of the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schilling, and thank you to your program and students. Great job. And we look forward to more checks.
Take that check to the bank right now.
Okay, brings us to item number 6, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board in any matter not on the agenda, but rather under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask a question for clarification, make a referral to staff, and have staff report back to the board at a later meeting. Also, the board may take action to direct the staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Anybody wishing to take advantage of this public presentation opportunity, now is your time. Yes, ma'am.
So unlike my friend, I'm here looking for money. I'm not bringing you any.
We have none.
You have, okay, never mind.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm just kidding. I'm Terry Akawili from ADAKC, our local Alzheimer's Disease Association of Kern County. We are a local atmosphere who are helping the day program for our loved ones who are on the Alzheimer's or dementia journey. We are currently located at 5500 Olive Drive in the small building that we are at the Valley Baptist Church. We're 2 months away from the completion of our new building on Buena Vista. We have 2 months and we're short about $1 million. So anybody that can help us out, if you have a friend. I know that it's election year and the oil's not good, but that doesn't stop our loved ones from having Alzheimer's. So I just wanted to give you a little update on our building. If you haven't been out to our current facility, please come and see us. Also, we have a really cool event. It's an annual event on June 11th. It's free. It's for caregivers and loved ones who care for somebody who's on the journey of Alzheimer's and dementia. It's held at our very good hotels. It's Saturday, June 11th from 8 to 2, and it's an educational seminar full of education, good speakers, all local resources if anybody is interested. Always thank you for all your support. We really appreciate you, Chairman, and the Board of Supervisors for always supporting our local ADAKC.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close public presentations and open up board member announcements or reports. Any member? Yes.
Real quick. I want to thank the district attorney and her office. Last week, Fraser Mountain High School brought about 45 high school kids down that were completing their first ever law enforcement academy, and the district attorney was very, very gracious, along with several of her staff attorneys, to speak with them, and I just wanted to thank them for that. And I also have an apology to make, and you'll see why I was thanking some people there. I had the opportunity to speak to the Management Council on Wednesday of last week, I think it was, and I heaped some praise on Devin Brown and the HR department for going through this Lean Six Sigma process, and it occurred to me after I finished that I had completely forgotten that Mr. Walker and the mental health department had done the same thing, and I wanted to thank you, Bill, for that as well, and encourage other departments to go through that same process. So sorry about that, Bill. I'll try not to let it happen again, but I'm certain that it will. Thanks.
Any other announcements? I'll take one real quick. Yesterday was a great day. Spring was in the air, and Mr. Moxley was celebrating 35 years of marriage to his beautiful wife, Susan. Congratulations, Larry. Okay, moving right along, we comes up to number 43, probation. Mr. Merkel. Request approval for mid-year capital asset acquisition of one network router in an amount not to exceed $13,000. Mr. Merkel.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm here to ask for your approval for the purchase of a network router. This network router connects our networks and better allows encryption of criminal justice data to keep us in compliance with DOJ and FBI regulations. Our current fiscal year budget had money set aside for SAN storage. However, given the tight fiscal constraints of this year and next, we've reevaluated all of our purchases and only go in with the most high priority items. I believe it's in the best interest of the department to use the money originally set aside for the SAN storage to purchase a network router. And therefore, I respectfully recommend that you authorize this purchase. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you had them.
Thank you, Mr. Merkel. Appreciate it. Open up the public for comment. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment and bring it back to the board for consideration.
I'll move the staff's recommendation.
Second.
Second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. Brings us to number Public Health Services, Emergency Medical Services Division, number 50. Public hearing to consider cost of living adjustments to ambulance rates for the Delano Ambulance Service, Hall Ambulance Service, and Liberty Ambulance Service. Mr. Constantine.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Bryn Kerrigan, the Deputy Director of Public Health.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As Mr. Constantine stated, my name is Bryn Kerrigan. I'm the Public Health Deputy Director. The item before you this morning is the proposed ambulance rates for Kern County's 3 ground ambulance.
Excuse me for a second. I'm sorry, but I need to interrupt you real quick. I need to recuse myself from this issue because my son works for Liberty Ambulance, so I'll be outside and have your way. And Dave, you got it. Thanks.
The item before you this morning is the proposed ambulance rates for Kern County's 3 ground ambulance service providers. On April 19th, 2005, your board adopted the ambulance rate process. And on December 17th, 2013, in response to requests from your board and in an effort to appropriately adjust ambulance rates annually, the ambulance rates process was updated. Per the amended ambulance rates process, ambulance rates are adjusted using one of 2 methods, an annual adjustment or reestablishment of baseline rates. The request before your board today is to use the annual adjustment methodology on all 3 ground ambulance providers. Per the policy, ambulance rates are to be adjusted annually from the established baseline rates using the cost of living adjustment, better known as the COLA. The annual adjustment methodology is calculated using the percentage change in the applicable consumer price index, known as the CPI, published by the U.S. Department of Labor, the payer mix rate, and the average charge per transport. The financial data provided by the ground ambulance service providers is required to be accompanied by a statement from a certified public accountant licensed in the state of California attesting to the accuracy of the data being provided. This annual adjustment process is only applied to the base and standby rates. All other rates charged by the ground ambulance service providers remain unchanged. Representatives from each of the 3 ground ambulance service providers are in the audience and are available for any questions you may have. Mr. Chairman, or excuse me, members of the board, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. I'll open this up to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to make a comment on this item? I see one coming down. If there's others, could we get you to come down to the front row so we can get you to the microphone quickly? Thank you. Is that you, Mr. Rao?
Michael Rao. Yeah, somebody's got to speak up for the people and say enough is enough. These ambulance rates are skyrocketing right through the ceiling. And this is the one reason why people are so disgusted with politicians. And I think I've said enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Would you like to respond at all to that? Defend our honor?
Well, of course. The process in front of you this morning is an agreement that we have with the ambulance service providers, and the process that is being followed is a board-approved rate adjustment process that we use. Your board recently amended the process to add some additional pieces, most prominently the requirement to include a letter from a CPA to attest to the accuracy of the financial data that's used to compile the numbers. Supervisor Couch, I think this is an established process that we follow carefully, and then we ensure that they are compliant through the entire rate adjustment process.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? I see one possibly. Thank you.
Members of the board, Larry Moxley, representing Hall Ambulance. I not only want to defend your honor and staffs, but those of us in the ambulance providing business. This year, we contemplated what is available under the process with the department asking for a base rate review, because we had extraordinary expenses in excess of $1 million just on the second phase of $1 increase on a mandatory minimum wage. We've had a variety of other expenses that equal or exceed those impacts, but because of the fiscal condition of the county, this board, and the department heads in the county system, we decided to forego that and go the much less fiscally impacting route of asking for the annual COLA. We have justifications to ask for a lot more, and I will suggest to you, because of the lack of payment we get on around 30 or 33% of what we bill out and those losses, if we get a 4% increase, we'll realize something less than 1%. So we're doing the best we can within the circumstances to not ask for more than is absolutely necessary as we're impacted. And we appreciate staff and Mr. Constantine and his department, and we've made those decisions to be as economic as we can in a request that we're justified for. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll return it to the board for questions, comments, and action.
Mr. Moxley, thank you for that explanation. I'll move staff's recommendation.
Supervisor Press.
Supervisor Couch, thank you. You know, Mr. Constantine, we've had lots of conversations about this issue because it is a complicated one, and one that on the surface appears to be very simple, and yet it is not. I have personally been very compelled by the presentations I've received both publicly and in the past. You and I have talked extensively about this issue and helping me understand what percentage of these bills and invoices have to be written off entirely by the companies because we live in the poorest, if not one of the poorest congressional districts in the United States of America, with such a large percentage of our population being on public aid. What I have come to see is that so many of these bills cannot be paid. So many of these invoices go unrecognized, and that is the reality that our ambulances live in this community. And so I am sensitive to that need and that reality, as difficult and complicated as the matter really is. It is certainly not as simplified as it appears on its surface. And so I also will support this motion and this move, and I'm thankful to our ambulance services and our providers, and grateful that we continue to get very high quality service in this community despite a very difficult economic reality. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. I want to make sure I am conducting this appropriately. Did I close the public hearing? Okay. We need to recognize, I would like to say that the public hearing is now closed.
Right.
Thank you for that comment, Supervisor. Was that a second of the motion? Yes. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Seeing none, please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, 4 ayes, 1 abstention. Supervisor Gleason.
Thank you.
Glad I missed that one. Okay, number 51, under Environmental Health Division, Public Health Services, public hearing to consider repeal of uncodified ordinance G8618 and enact new uncodified ordinance related to environmental health service and permit fees. Mr. Constantine.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Good morning. This item before you is to request an increase of 8% in permit fees and other service fees charged by the Environmental Health Division. As required by the Kern County Administrative Procedures Manual, the division is required to fully evaluate and propose adjustments to the fee schedule to ensure that operations are fully supported by corresponding fees. As a result, the division completed a thorough analysis of the services provided and the time spent and the cost incurred to provide these services. It's also important to note that the division does not receive any general fund support and primarily relies on permit fees for its functions. Although the division continues to maintain the same staffing levels as in previous years, the recently submitted budget has a shortfall of approximately $587,000. This is primarily due to the the application of the countywide cost allocation plan and those costs to now applicable to the division. Due to the declared fiscal emergency, though, the division continues to operate in the most cost-effective manner as possible, and now with the full implementation of our risk-based inspection program, we are allocating resources to those areas which are in the greatest need for services that struggle with compliance and present the most significant risk to the county. In addition to today's public hearing, the department also held a public workshop on May 9th and has also posted the proposed changes on the department's website. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Constantine. Appreciate it. I'll open up the public for comments and considerations. Anyone in the public? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Your thoughts? Council, Supervisor Perez, are you chimed in, or is that just wasn't cleared on the earlier one? Okay. Madam Council.
Thank you, Chairman Gleason and members of the board. I think Mr. Constantine also meant to tell your board that he is recommending that your board make a finding that this is not a project that is subject to the requirements of CEQA, but if determined to be a project, it is exempt from further CEQA review pursuant to Section 15273 of the state CEQA guidelines, and to repeal the uncodified ordinance G8618, waive reading, and enact the new uncodified ordinance. And if Mr. Constantine has anything else he'd like to add, I welcome his comments.
Thank you, Madam Council. Ms. Constantine?
No, sir. Thank you for the correction, Council.
Thank you. The public hearing is reopened. Any comments?
Good catch.
Public hearing is closed. Bring it back to the board.
Motion on staff's recommendation.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
That brings us to a motion to adjourn. Good. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 52. Sorry, thank you. Under Sheriff's Department, item 52, proposed approval of mid-year capital asset acquisition of universal forensic extraction device and approval of terms and conditions of sales and service with Celebrite Corporation for technical maintenance and support services containing non-standard provisions in an amount not to exceed $9,766. Madam Council.
Thank you, Chairman Gleason and members of the board. The reason that I asked to withdraw this from the closed session agenda has to do with one particular term of the agreement that I don't believe by law your board can enter into. This is a request from the Sheriff's Department that the board approve the mid-year capital asset acquisition of a universal forensic extraction device and approve the terms and conditions of sale and service with Celebrite Corporation for technology maintenance and support services. The hardware and software that is being purchased would allow the Sheriff's Office to upgrade its current hardware and software with Celebrite, which allows them to extract, decode, analyze, and share evidence that is found on mobile devices quickly in order to accelerate investigations and to aid prosecutors. The older hardware and software being used by the Sheriff's Office is unable to penetrate newer digital devices and can only examine one device at a time. The purchase of the hardware and software upgrade is $9,766, so this is not a big ticket item. According to the Sheriff's Department, the funds must be encumbered by the end of the month. My office was unable to approve the agreement because it contained several non-standard provisions which Celebrite was unwilling to remove or revise. However, the biggest concern that I have is a provision regarding a requirement requiring the agreement to be confidential, including the terms of the agreement itself. Celebrite is not a law enforcement agency. There is no legal basis for your board to agree to keep the terms of the agreement by which it is purchasing this service confidential. So I would request that your board, if you so desire, approve this agreement, but subject to the condition that the confidentiality provision exclude all disclosures that are required by law. Therefore, if the county gets a Public Records Act request for the terms of this agreement, the county is able to comply. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Madam Council. Yes, sir.
I think Ms. Goldner pretty much summarized it. If we got into a position like that, we would comply with the public.
Could you please, for the record, could you please state your name?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Drake Massey, Sheriff's Department Commander over General Investigations. And as I was saying, if we got a Public Records Request Act, obviously we would apply with it. We're a government agency, and if that meant Cellbrite dropping us, then that would just have to be the case.
Great. Did I hear you say that you'll change the language in the contract to reflect what Ms. Goldner just said?
Cellbrite will not change that language, those terms and conditions, so we're kind of trapped in that position.
So they can hold us liable for, and mandate that we not release information despite the fact that we're being asked for this information by a duly authorized agency?
Yeah, our position as the Sheriff's Department, sir, would be that we would release the information. We'd consult with our risk manager and county counsel and release the information as we're supposed to as a government entity. And if that meant Cellbrite dropping us, then we would take that.
Is this proprietary information, or is there some issue between proprietary information and confidential information? I don't understand why they wouldn't drop that or change the language.
Sir, we don't understand that either. That's just they won't move on that particular language. And they service several law enforcement agencies throughout the nation, and that's just the position that they take.
Supervisor Gleason, through the chair, what I'm simply advising is that your board approve it, subject to the proviso that it does not require the county to violate the Public Records Act. So if we do get a request for the terms of this agreement, we can comply without being in violation of this agreement. And Celebrex can either take your board's approval on that condition or not.
Thank you. Any other comments? No, sir. Mr. Massey, thank you very much. I'll open up for public comments. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. Supervisor Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move approval with the proviso that the county council provided.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, all ayes.
Now we're at the adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.